Hello, welcome to the FanDuel Punch Out once again. I am Big Italy 42, joined by my good friend Christopher Ruckus at Space Jam 23 DFS. We're here talking about all things FanDuel and maybe even give you a couple dong calls here. We were talking a little bit about that before the show. Some guys we like to go deep, and I haven't even shared mine with you yet, so be prepared for that at the end of the podcast here. All right, you ready to start off with starting pitcher here?
Yeah. Let's start with starting pitcher. I'm going first because you always take it first from me,
Yes,
and I'm doing my call today. The worst best pitcher in the league, the best worst pitcher in the league, however you want to call it, Francisco Lariano, baby. I love Francisco tonight against the Cubbies. I mean, the guy's got a elite K per nine. The Cubs strike out. They're young. They're aggressive. They might dong off of Lariano tonight, but they're going to rack up some Ks. So I'm loving Lariano tonight.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, he keeps the ball on the ground. His big concern is with walks, but that's not exactly a very patient team over there in the Cubs. So I like that call. I'm a big fan of Colin McHugh, as everyone knows, today at Seattle. Obviously, these Seattle bats hit righties at home pretty well, and that's a situation I usually like to exploit. But McHugh's been tremendous so far this season. He struck out 11 batters against Oakland, one of the teams that strikes out the least in the game. I'm a big fan of his tonight at 8,900. So for me, it's going to be him. And if not him, I like Carlos Carrasco. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are going to remember Carlos Carrasco burnt them earlier. A lot of DFS guys might not even know why.
Yeah.
Which is funny. So
almost got his head taken off.
Almost got his head taken off, and probably a lot of players don't even know that. One thing I'm just going to chime in, take it for what it's worth tonight. Hector Santiago is going to be facing, it looks like a righty-heavy Oakland Athletics lineup. He's not very good against righties. He actually has a 52% fly ball rate and home run per night of 1.32, which is the highest of the day right now. So that's interesting to note just for our hitters. I literally just saw that. Don't want to forget it. Stack interesting Oakland Athletics tonight.
Yeah, I can see that. That's an interesting call there. And I'm going to throw out one cheap pitcher here who has been kind of flying under the radar. He's not a big strikeout guy, but he's been a solid pitcher since he's come up with the Tigers. And Kyle Lobstein. Last year, 274 WOBA allowed to lefties, 307 to righties. Obviously not a cash game play, but if you want a deep GPP play where you can stack some huge hitters, he's the second cheapest pitcher on the board at 6,200. So, I'm sorry, he's not the second cheapest, but he's one of the cheapest at 62. So, if I'm going crazy cheap, that's the way I'm going today.
So you're basically telling us all of the Lobstein.
Well, I don't know about all of it, but a little bit of the Lobstein today for my big stacks in tournaments.
Perfect.
All right, moving on here to catcher, where there's finally, Sal Perez has been getting a decent lineup spot. I think a lot of that was due to the fact that Lorenzo Cain was out of lineup. Hopefully, Cain's out of lineup again, and Perez can get himself another great spot, maybe in the 5 or the 6 hole today. And at $3,600, facing a lefty, an average one at that, and Tommy Milone, I love Sal Perez here.
Yeah, love Mr. Salvador. It's got a good price, $3,600, but probably my number one catcher again tonight is fill in the blank.
Norris, of course.
You got it. Yeah. I mean, the guy is 3K on FanDuel, facing Mr. Matzik, 397 WOBA, 184 ISO. The guy had a great game last night. It's going to carry over to tonight. Cash game, it just makes sense. He's cheap. I can't believe how cheap he is, actually. When you're looking at the other catchers, he's much cheaper. The only other one I'm liking, Yasmani Grandal, 2,900 against Lincecum. I mean, the Dodgers' offense is potent right now, and Lincecum isn't what he once was. I know my autographed jersey card of his went down to negative money, so he must not be good anymore.
Yeah, well, I'm still a big fan of Tim Lincecum. He hooked me up already this year, but either way, I like that call. And I mean, Norris is going to be the most popular play catcher once again on FanDuel, and you pretty much have to play in your cash games. I'm with you there. Matzik, pretty tough on lefties, 199 WOBA allowed last year, really good, but crushed by righties, 372 WOBA, obviously in Coors Field. No further analysis needed there. Moving on to first base here, as always, some huge bats, and some guys we're looking at here. Once again, I like Joey Votto. He's locked in. He hits lefties. He hits righties. His power is coming back. I'm a huge fan of his. I mean, the guy gets you positive points every single night. He's at $4,400. Love him. You've got some other guys. Lucas Duda, I know you're a big fan of tonight. He's at $4,000. Who else are you looking at here?
So I'm the Duda homer, but tonight also super cheap if you're going. So first base, you better select a first baseman that's going to hit a home run tonight because you're going to have about 12 home runs from first basemen tonight. First basemen, I don't know if that's correct grammar. Sorry, third grade teacher. But like Duda, like Morneau, and then one sneaky guy who probably will go underowned, Adam Lind, 3,300. You know, he mashes right-handed pitching, so I don't mind Adam Lind if you're going cheap. Like I said, you've got to be careful though because you really want the power. My contrarian play, David Ortiz. I also talked previously with Joey Votto 42. I mean Big Italy 42. That he's my dawn call of the night. 261 ISO. No one's going to be on him because of Archer. I mean, Archer's a great pitcher. Ortiz is a great hitter who's been, struggling this part of the season. I like Ortiz, 3,700.
I like that. And there's one other cheap guy I'm going to throw out here, Kendrys Morales. Off to a great start this year. $2,700 tonight against Malone. He's been hitting in the heart of that order, and that Kansas City lineup is starting to hit now. And, I mean, even if Kane is out of the lineup again, I still like him in that spot. So you can get yourself a cheap exposure. He doesn't have a ton of power, but he's still got the upside. He's got 2 homers on the year. But, I mean, hitting in one of the better lineups in baseball right now. So I'm a big fan at that price. All right, moving on here to second base where there are some options. If you're not going the Colin McHugh route, Robbie Cano at home against a righty in play. Monster game last night. He's at 4K. A guy that you and I talked about before the show. Really cheap. Not hitting particularly well so far this season, but in a fine spot against Jason Vargas tonight. And as he usually is when he's up against the lefty. Jason Vargas, 321 wobble out to righties last year. Brian Dozier at $3,000. He's been batting either cleanup or leadoff for the Twins, and that lineup has been just god-awful. But Dozier has the upside. I mean, he's got a little bit of a mix of speed and power, so at $3,000, he makes for a nice discount.
Yeah, Dong, second baseman of the night.
Yeah. I mean, he's in a good spot there. I don't mind that at all. And right below him at $2,900, Jed Jerko, as you know, at Colorado. Most of these guys in play once again. And Tyler Matzik, already mentioned, good against lefties, not good against righties. Doesn't matter. 10-run total here in Coors Field, as usual. So I'm getting myself some exposure, and he's a really good way to get some cheap exposure tonight.
Yeah, so also, 2 hitters I want to mention. They're going to go under-owned. They both have elite, stealing upside, base running. They're aggressive. Number 1 is going to be Jose Altuve, who's been, hitting the ball well. Tijuana Walker. I don't know how you pronounce the first name. He's been getting shelled to start the season. Yeah. So I like Altuve if I'm paying up $4,100. And then right next to Altuve, the junkyard dog, Jerome Williams. I don't think this is who he's pitching against. But D. Gordon. I love D. Gordon tonight. 4K, I think they both make for contrarian plays because of their price points. So GPPs, I don't mind paying up for either of those because I think Dozier is going to be high owned tonight, and they're probably going to see some punts in there. But I think using, like Altuve, Gordon can make some serious differentiation in your lineups.
Yeah, and Jerome Williams really bad against lefties last year, 348 wobble out, and D. Gordon, we're finally seeing the offensive outburst from him. I mean, 2 games ago he had 5 hits. He's got 2 3-hit games already this year, so he's absolutely locked in, on fire here. Gets on base, steals bases. Great upside. I like that call a lot. All right, moving on to third base here where, once again, some big bats. You got your Josh Donaldson sitting there at $4,400 against Bud Norris, who has gotten shelled early this season so far. And everyone's favorite player to love to hate, to play way more than they rightfully should, Chris Bryant, who after that first game, 0 for 4, absolutely locked in. Doubles each of his last 2 games, 3 RBIs last night, 4 walks in his last 3 games. $3,600 Chris Bryant will probably be, I'll guess, the highest owned player that is not playing at Coors Field tonight.
All right, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, 3,600. Chris Bryant. I mean, he's a stud. If I'm going away from Chris Bryant, probably going to Jake Lamb. Make sure he's in the lineup tonight. But he's been mashing. Like we said, he gets Martinez. He does well against right-handed pitching. He's young. He's 3,100 in my favorite stack of the night. I believe we decided the Arizona Diamondbacks. So I love Jake Lamb tonight. I think he's a fantastic play at third base. 3,100, and I like him.
Yeah, I like that call as well. And 9-run total there, second highest on the night. So your reasons there are definitely justified. Vegas agrees with you. There's going to be a lot of runs scored there. And another guy around that price, Will Middlebrooks, absolutely locked in right now. He had a triple last night. He's got multiple RBIs in 3 of his last 4 games, batting around the heart of that order. And I already talked about it. It's Coors Field. Pitcher bat against righties. Yes, please. Will Middlebrooks, if he's batting 5th or 6th in that lineup, I'm going to get myself some cheap exposure to Coors. Elsewhere here, Louis Valbuena, a guy that you and I were on yesterday, was a great tournament play, obviously, as anyone would be with 2 home runs. But he's a guy who's really locked in. I mean, you looked at his last 4 games, he's got 4 home runs, and actually all 4 of his hits have been home runs in his last 4 games. So the guy's just locked in right now. He's got himself a fine matchup against Taijuan Walker, who we already mentioned, struggling so far this season. He's walked 6 batters in just 7 innings, giving up 15 hits. So the guy's just getting mashed. Valbuena, the only guy for the Astros that's really hitting the ball. And at $3,200, he gives you a ton of tournament upside tonight as well.
Yeah, I mean, can we go back to our Thursday podcast and cut and edit the part where you and I spoke about Valbuena about to heat up and has the power? I mean, he's gonna stay hot. He's that kind of player. I think he's got I hate saying this word, but swagger to him right now. I think you're going to see some pop from his bat that's going to continue. I love Valbuena moving forward.
I was sure you were going to say it factor. I was waiting to see what kind of phrase was coming there, but I like that, the swagger. To see him walk up to the plate with his favorite song on the loudspeakers there. I love it. David Freese was the guy I know that you were a fan of tonight as well. I believe you think he could be a guy to go yard tonight at $3,100.
Yeah, no, he's. I mentioned him earlier. He goes under owned. He's in a potent offense. I mean, I love getting batters in that offense, and Freese has some power tonight. Love his matchup, and I did call him as one of my home run dongs of the night.
All right, I like that call as well. So a lot of cheap value guys you can get at third base with some upside. So big fan there. And shortstop, not the case. If you're going to be paying up, obviously Troy Tulowitzki's your top option. Brandon Morrow, not a bad pitcher by any means, but Troy Tulowitzki at home. Granted, it's not against a lefty, but he's still locked in. Best hitting shortstop in the game, not close. Some other guys you can consider. Ian Desmond's got some pop. Lance Lynn is a fine pitcher in his own right, but he's a league average ground ball pitcher, so he's a guy that can definitely be exploited through the air. Some other guys you can mention here. Xander Bogaerts, if he's got a nice lineup spot, he's been hitting the ball very well early in the season here. But I think I'm going to be going cheap at shortstop here. How about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going cheap as well. We both talked about this earlier. If Jordy Mercer plays tonight, he's min salary. You might not even find him on your FanDuel list, but min salary, he mashes left-hand pitching. So I love Jordy Mercer, like Johnny spelt backwards Peralta, 2,900. I like him against even though he's up against Gio, he does very well against left-handed pitching. And you said Ian Desmond already. I'm a big Ian Desmond fan tonight. I like his power. I like his base running. He's pretty aggressive on the base path. So those are my shortstops. What was Tulo's ownership last night? Do you remember?
I don't know on FanDuel. It wasn't particularly high in cash games. I didn't see a lot of him in my head-to-heads, so I don't know.
So here's something for you guys to take a look at, think about. There's a big difference between Troy Tulowitzki and Ian Desmond, who is probably the next play down for me, and then you have Jordy Mercer. We gave you lots of value. It makes sense maybe to play Troy Tulowitzki tonight just based on positional competitive advantage and all of that. So give it some thought when you're constructing lineups.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to further the Jordy Mercer point, you already mentioned how good he is against lefties. Travis Wood, terrible against righties last year, 371 WOBA allowed. So a lot of things going in his favor today. Hopefully he gets himself a nice lineup spot. We've seen him bat around second last year against lefties, so take a look at that today when lineups come out. Zach Cozart. This is not a homer call. This guy, I'm not a fan of his in real life offensively. He's a great defensive shortstop. I've been losing some patience with him in Cincinnati, but the guy's swinging a hot bat right now. I mean, you look, 2 home runs in his last 3 games, 2 3-hit games in his last 4, 2,300, going to be batting around 7th or 8th, so you don't love that. But if you're just punting the position, I don't mind going with him if everything else falls in place against Mike Fiers, who, as we know, struggles with fly balls. And if Zach Cozart maybe gets a hold of one there, hitting right ahead of the pitcher, you never know. So I don't mind him at all tonight. All right, moving on to the outfield, where my top play against a lefty, especially in a hitter's ballpark, is going to be Adam Jones. Mark Burley, whatever's left of him here tonight against Adam Jones. Adam Jones just absolutely destroys lefty. He's got an insane amount of power, monstrous WOBA. Love targeting him with lefty. He is $5,100, but like Chris mentioned, we've highlighted a lot of really cheap guys. Not that hard to get some big bats in your lineup. So if I'm paying up in the outfield, it's going to be Adam Jones tonight.
You should pay up in the outfield. Rest assured, we both have discussed first base and outfield is where you want to spend tonight. He's got, Adam Jones. He's like a Counting Crows homer over here, Justin. So I'm going to bring something different to the table. Mr. Andrew McCutchen, struggling the early part of the season. I mean, the guy has a 420 WOBA against lefties, 241 ISO, can get on the base, steal a base, hit a home run, hit a double, triple. He's got the upside of any player every single night, and he's 4,500. I love his price tonight, his matchup, everything about that. Just got to check the weather. Pittsburgh, the weather comes through. Pouring rain, so just be careful on that. But yeah, I love Adam Jones. If you guys are feeling frisky for your outfielder and you're looking to punt, my punt outfield home run of the night, Colby Rasmus, is got some power. Up against a righty, historically has done pretty well against righties. He's 2,700, and he's my favorite outfield punt of the night.
All right, I like that call. If you're trying to get yourself some Coors Field exposure, Charlie Blackmon, he waited till the 9th inning, but he paid it off last night. He's 4,200. Matt Kemp, 4,300, absolutely locked in right now. He's hitting the ball very, very well. Some other guys to consider here. Michael Brantley is only $3,800. He's in a fine matchup tonight as well. Ryan Braun is $3,500 against Jason Marquis, and the AARP carrying Jason Marquis. So I like that. He had a home run in the 9th inning last night. Like it doesn't matter when he hits the home run. But Jason Marquis, very, very beatable, especially in that ballpark. And a couple cheap guys I'm going to throw out also. Michael Kadire. He's sitting there really cheap at $3,400. And Ender Inciarte I like as well. So we're going to hop out at $3,200. Anybody else you want to highlight here before we get out of here?
Let's get out of here.
All right. That's going to wrap things up. Thanks for hanging out with us. Check out all of our great content at dailyfantasycafe.com. We'll see you guys tomorrow.